The truth about racism they don't want you to see. What if the racism we're constantly shown in the media is only part of the story? What if it's being used to shape our emotions and actions in a very specific, intentional ways? In this video, we're going to take a hard look at how trauma, manipulation and history are all being used to control how we see ourselves and each other. Grab a pen and paper. I'll share references throughout that you can fact check later. Let's go. As a black man growing up in London, I was sensitive to racism. I saw it many places, and sometimes it wasn't even about racism, it was about unresolved trauma. Take my wife for example. She struggles to watch any film involving racist violence. For her, it's too much. It's not just entertainment, it's personal pain. I get it, because I get triggered when I hear couples arguing. It brings me right back to the moments from my childhood when my father was violent towards my mother. These emotional reactions aren't always logical, but they are real. That's what makes this topic so dangerous, because when we're emotionally triggered, we stop thinking critically, and that's when we become easy to manipulate. Governments, the media and cultural institutions are aware of this, and they've used it. Let's talk about Trevor Noah's commentary on how African identity gets erased when a black person becomes successful in Europe.
When I read stories from Africa and when I watch what politicians say, especially in France, about African migrants, when they are unemployed, when they may commit a crime, or when they are considered unsavory, it's the African immigrants. When their children go on to provide a World Cup victory for France, we should only refer to them as France. And we even saw it with that African man who climbed the building to rescue the baby. Do you remember that? We watched him climb that building. He rescued the child, and then they gave him French citizenship. They said, you are now French. So now so is he now no longer African? Is that what you're saying? So when he was on the ground, he was African. And then he climbed up, and as soon as he rescued the baby, now he's French. So if he dropped the baby, the African dropped the baby.
Pause and reflect. How often do we see identity used conditionally, celebrating its success, questioning failure? Now let's switch to a story of unity. Consider the Battle of Bamber Bridge in 1943, where English locals welcomed black US soldiers during World War II.
Have you ever talked about the Battle of Bamber Bridge? We did in our chronological coverage. Racial tensions were high in Bamber Bridge, Lancashire in 1943 because, to the shock of white US Army officers and MPs, the British locals accepted and often socialized with the black soldiers of the segregated 1511th Quartermaster Truck Regiment. So when two white MPs attempted to arrest a black soldier at a pub for an alleged uniform violation on June 24, 1943, the situation quickly escalated, with British locals defending the black soldiers. A bottle was thrown at the MPs, to which they opened fire and killed Private William Crossland of the 1511th. Later, a 4-hour firefight erupted at the 1511th base, resulting in several wounded on both sides. 32 black soldiers were court-martialed, although General Ira Eaker, 8th Air Force commander, blamed the white officers and MPs and instituted reforms, including integrating MP patrols to prevent future incidents.
That's an example of community over division. But history isn't always that kind. Enter Operation Legacy, where the British government destroyed evidence of colonial atrocities across the Commonwealth.
An operation to destroy evidence of Britain's colonial abuses took place during the Queen's reign. Operation Legacy was a secret British Colonial Office program that ran from the 1950s to the 1970s. It was in full swing during Queen Elizabeth II's reign. Its operatives were told to destroy any documents from the colonies that showed religious or racial bias and could tarnish the British Empire's legacy. Her Majesty's government officials at MI5 took thousands of files from the colonies and burned them, dumped them in the ocean, or hid them illegally to protect their secrets from future historians and from us. Some of those hidden files came to light in 2013 when 5,000 Kenyans who were abused and tortured in a colonial-era rebellion received an apology and a £20 million payout from the British government. But it soon became clear that the most damning material had been destroyed. Historians say Operation Legacy was intended to ensure the whitewashing of British.
These examples show both sides, moments of unity and deliberate cover-ups. Both shape how we understand racism today. Let's move from politics to religion. Many ancient depictions of Jesus and the disciples showed him as black. This isn't speculation. It's visible in iconography from the Vatican archives and the Russian Orthodox archives.
Told you that ancient black Jesus icons depicting Jesus, the Virgin Mary, and King Solomon with dark skin have been hidden for centuries. Russia revealed these powerful icons, and they're sparking a global conversation about history, race, and religious art. These iconic images date back to the 14th century, with the first known painting of Christ found in Syria around 235 AD, showing him with dark skin and woolly hair. Fast forward to 2024, and Vladimir Putin uncovered a 16th century Black Jesus icon, igniting efforts to restore and promote these remarkable pieces of art. But why is this so important? These images challenge the Western portrayal of Jesus as white, shining a light on the diversity in early Christian art. Want to know more about Putin's unveiling of the Black Jesus icon? Check out the full video link in the description.
So why does this cause outrage when depictions of a white Jesus went unchallenged for centuries? Shifting to cultural differences, a Jamaican man I know has several siblings. Those raised in Jamaica are doing much better than those raised in the UK. That's not about race, it's about mindsets, discipline and cultural values. Candace Owens touches on this, how parts of black culture in the West can discourage success.
There's nothing that gets Black liberals more upset with me than when I talk about the success of Black immigrants from Africa, academically, in their careers, professionally. I think Nigerian Americans are the most successful immigrant group, and I'm sitting here looking at this going, guys, don't tell me that it's because this country's racist.
Right.
We've got some culture issues, and that's why I went into that in my book, because I was like, I know how we treat intelligence, how we treat academic success amongst, Black Americans. And
Right.
it is true that Black American students fare better in an all-white classroom than in an all-Black classroom because they're allowed to be smart,
Right.
and they're allowed to try, and there's a competitive environment around them.
Right.
Whereas for whatever reason, amongst Black Americans, it's seen as a betrayal.
Wow.
You've betrayed your culture because you're talking like the white man.
Let that sink in. Are we sometimes sabotaging each other? My wife experienced that pressure firsthand from someone close to her friend, who used to discourage her from working hard in English classes, also discouraging her from getting married and becoming a Christian. Tragically, she died in a violent relationship not long after my wife became a Christian. We need to be honest. West Indians and Africans often perform better in the US than Black Americans. But there's a deeper context, several reasons why the wealth gap between whites and blacks is so large in America. Redlining, for example, and the exclusion of black military personnel from low-interest home loans have played a major role.
At 5:30, a major step towards righting an injustice this Veterans Day. Lawmakers now looking to pay the families of Black service members who fought for our nation during World War II but were denied the benefits of the GI Bill.
Race and culture reporter Akila Davis tonight digging into how this would benefit surviving spouses and all living descendants of Black World War II veterans.
He didn't have that opportunity to get a loan from the VA or for the VA to assist him in building a house for his family.
The daughters of Private Sam Hairston tell me their father was one of countless Black World War II veterans denied his GI benefits because of the color of his skin. Then banks wouldn't loan money for mortgages in Black communities, and suburban living wasn't an option due to redlining and other discriminatory practices. So Hairston used his own money to build a home for his wife and 5 children. His daughters, Benita, Josephine, and Alberta, all live in the Sandhills.
Kitchen area, bathroom, a basement, and he had a garage in the back.
The GI Bill's promise of the American dream kept thousands of Black soldiers from building wealth. Duke University public policy professor William Darity says it played a significant role in creating the middle class.
But unfortunately, it created a white middle class because of the discriminatory application of the legislation. It was disproportionately beneficial to white returning veterans.
Here's one example of systemic bias. A black family's home value jumped by £500,000 only after their white friends posed as the owners.
Thought that most likely it would make a difference if I took down the family pictures that we had in the home and, basically any markers that there were African Americans living in the house.
In August, we introduced you to Abena and Alex Horton, who say that they were lowballed on their house appraisal until they removed any visual cues that they say Black people live there. The couple says there was a $135,000 difference between the two appraisals when they were trying to refinance their home in Ortega. And the reason we're bringing this story to you again tonight, it's now going national. On Your Side's Troy Kless has the story on what the couple is doing to bring this issue to light.
The Horton family wanted to refinance their home. They say the appraiser acted differently when learning a black family was living in the house. When the first appraisal was done, the bank told the Hortons the home value was way lower than expected. Abena Horton decided to make some interior changes. This video shown first on Good Morning America.
Back with another edition of the things that we are taking down from our walls. Pictures of me, Black Panther.
And when we got the second appraisal, we were very shocked. My son and I had left the house just so we could make sure that only my husband was in the house to greet the second appraiser, and it was gutting. It felt terrible.
The first appraisal was $330,000. The second one, after the changes, $465,000. Horton filed a complaint with HUD and said in August while the incident was humiliating to her, she says this issue has been under the table for too long.
But I do think that if there is unconscious bias in the world, it's going to seep into the appraisal business, and it's going to impact Black wealth and Black generational wealth.
More of their story will be shared on ABC Nightline Thursday morning. Troy Kless, First Coast News, on your side.
There was a moment when I was at London Heathrow Airport and I kept hearing a voice saying, "You're not welcome here." It wasn't coming from anyone around me, it was internal. That moment revealed to me that sometimes what we carry isn't just physical or emotional trauma, it can be spiritual. Another time while driving, I heard a voice said, "Look at that black such and such person." And I literally said out loud, "What's going on here?" That's when I realized that these weren't just thoughts, they were spiritual attacks, attempting to influence my perception of others. That's why we must be spiritually alert. In Matthew 16:16 says, Peter receives divine revelation that Jesus affirms that it came from God. Yet only a few verses later, Peter unknowingly became a mouthpiece of Satan. That contrast shows us that our thoughts can be manipulated by God or by the enemy. Discernment is crucial, especially when trauma and identity are involved. Let's discuss emotional manipulation through the media. George Floyd's death was horrific, but why was that footage showed repeatedly across all news platforms across almost every country on earth? Now let's look at Daniel Shaver, an unarmed white man also killed by the police.
You think you're gonna fall, you better fall on your face. Your hands go back in the small of your back are down. We are going to shoot you. Do you understand me? Crawl towards me. Crawl towards me! Don't go!
Why did one dominate the news cycle while the other was barely recognised? Between 1865 and 1968, over 4,000 black people were lynched in the US, a horrific, murderous era. Now consider this, some left-wing outlets amplify every racial issue. Meanwhile, some right-wing outlets consistently portray black people as only in a negative light. In the UK, black British Christians attend church at much higher rates than white British Christians. That matters not just culturally, but spiritually. It's a powerful reminder that faith is thriving in communities often overlooked by the broader narrative. Both narratives distort the truth, and both contribute to the chaos. According to the mapping of police violence, 249 black Americans were killed by the police during 2020. But here's a stat you really hear. Around 365,000 black abortions happened annually that year. Do black lives really matter equally in every context? Africa Brooke once refused to listen to Jordan Peterson because she was told he was racist. But when she finally did, it moved her deeply. It was a decisive moment of clarity that changed her perspective.
I finally allowed myself to be curious again, and now, Jordan, I can say you have been one of the most influential people to me for so many reasons I couldn't even mention right now. But to be able to have the conversations that I do now publicly, you have, and I could have never imagined this ever in my entire life. Things like this don't just happen. And thank you. Just thank you. Thank you.
You got him.
Pleasure. It's a rough pleasure, but...
This demonstrates the power of listening, not just to those with whom we agree, but to those who we might otherwise dismiss entirely. Anytime someone questions the dominant globalist narrative, whether it's about economics, national identity, social policy or culture, they're often instantly labelled as dangerous. If they're white, the word racist is weaponized even faster. It shuts down dialogue and keeps people from seeking the truth. Now let's talk about gun control. Gun control in the US has racist origins. Laws designed to stop newly freed black Americans from defending themselves.
US gun laws are racist? Yeah, they pretty much always have been, all the way back to the founding of the Constitution, when several states had it on their books that it was illegal for a man of color to own a firearm. In 1825, a Florida law said that a white man could go into any man of color's home and search for guns, weapons, and ammunition and confiscate anything that they found. After the Civil War, black codes were enacted, making it illegal for any man of color to own a gun and defend themselves against the KKK that were running rampant in the South after the Civil War. And then Martin Luther King Jr., he tried to apply for a handgun permit to be able to defend himself after his house was firebombed, and that was denied.
This next video shows what happens when good people, that's law-abiding citizens, are armed. It's a clear example of why the right to self-defense matters.
In your corner, also following another developing story right now. Amazing video. It's just newly released. The surveillance video showing the night a man was shot at this Fort Myers Waffle House before he died in a crash on the way to the hospital.
That's right. It happened in January, and authorities have decided not to charge the shooter. And this video you're about to see might explain why.
Katie Jones spending hours earlier today piecing together what happens in this video moment by moment.
A group of friends walk into a Waffle House in the early morning hours of January 5th. Right off the bat, you can tell something's off. Surveillance video shows a shirtless man, later identified as Dakota Fields, gesturing at someone or something. From another camera angle, you can see two men, Gerard Williams and Jorge Hernandez, sitting at the restaurant counter. According to a detective's incident report, Williams stated that Dakota Fields was yelling racial slurs at them. He then told the waitress to hurry up because it was time for him to go. Surveillance shows one of Fields' friends, Robert Black, approaching Jorge Hernandez and then shakes his hand. Black then tried to do the same with Williams, and you can see he has his hands crossed and shakes his head no. Robert Black then punches Williams in the face. Williams backs up and shows his gun. Seconds later, Dakota Fields runs back into the restaurant, charges at Williams, and then Williams pulls the trigger. Fields was shot 3 times. He and his friends then leave, and on their way to the hospital, their SUV crashes with another car. Fields was pronounced dead on scene. Documents show that after shooting Fields, Williams set the gun on the restaurant counter and called 911. He told the operator what had happened and that he acted in self-defense. He also had his concealed carry permit. When questioned by detectives, several other witnesses inside the Waffle House say Fields and his friends were acting drunk, confrontational, and unruly the night of the shooting. When Dakota Fields' friend Robert Black was interviewed by detectives, he told them that Williams had reached for a gun when he tried to shake his hand. Surveillance video showing that never happened, and he later admitted it was a lie. Katie Jones, Fox 4, in your corner.
And again, confirming what was in that police report, because they did a number of interviews. That friend initially saying that when Williams reached for the gun, he was actually trying to do something more than that. And as you saw, the surveillance video showing it never happened, and did admit, in fact, it was a lie to detectives.
Let's talk about the breakdown of the family unit. The welfare state has enabled women to have children out of wedlock and get paid for it. What most people don't realize is that being raised by a single mother is the biggest indicator of long-term instability in children. Interestingly, when children are raised by single fathers, the outcomes are far more stable. If we do things God's way, pray and fast for our partners and keep sex within marriage, it will massively reduce single motherhood. Hebrews 13:4 reminds us, marriage should be honored by all and the marriage bed kept pure. Let's stop blaming racism or politics for everything. Yes, they play a part, but we must also face our own decisions. Where God is no longer at the center, families fracture, children grow up without fathers, and homes depend on the state instead of their fathers. This isn't about politics, it's about the cross. Real identity, justice and healing starts here, not with man-made ideologies. Matthew 6:33 says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you." Even right-wing media rarely highlights the faith and vibrance in black communities. We are more than victims, we are overcomers. When we rebuild our homes and our hearts around faith and family, we don't just survive, we thrive. Racism is real, but it's not the whole story. What if the greatest weapon used against us is our own unresolved pain? Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe. Click the bell icon so you don't miss what they're not showing you. Please drop a comment about what stood out to you, what challenged you, what you agree with, what you didn't agree with. Let's start a discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Goodbye.